Greetings and welcome to another video. I am a Star Trek fan. I have been since uh, maybe the age of 12 or 13 years old. And yeah, Star Trek is my favourite television show. With that in mind, I wanted to watch Star Trek Prodigy, which is now on Netflix. Even though Prodigy is basically a kids show produced by Nickelodeon, it's still part of the Star Trek universe. And because of that, being a Star Trek fan myself, I wanted to sit down and watch Prodigy. And I'm glad that I did. Now that it's available on Netflix, I was able to sit down and watch it. And I had heard some really good things about the show from other Star Trek fans. And at the end of the day, I just wanted to see for myself what the show's like. Now, at risk of spoilers for anyone who hasn't yet seen the show centers on a group of prisoners at this prison colony who find an opportunity to escape their prison, and that comes about by them finding this abandoned Starfleet starship. And once activated, they use it as a means to, as I said, escape their prison. But at the same time, the chief bad guy of the show, the man who is running the prison, he is also looking for the exact same starship. And the reason being is that there's a super weapon on board the ship, which they don't know about at first. After a couple of episodes of the show, they eventually discover that this super weapon is hiding on the ship. And the whole reason why the bad guy, the guy running the prison, is looking for the ship is because his people developed this super weapon in order to use it to attack and destroy the United Federation of Planets. But before they could deploy the weapon, the Starfleet crew of the starship sent it off flying into space on autopilot, basically. And so the bad guy had to go on a quest to find the ship. And, well, he was using the prisoners he had accumulated. Yeah, basically, over the years, the bad guy had acquired a whole bunch of prisoners to, without their knowledge, of course, go about helping him find the ship with his weapon on. And so it all goes on. They find the ship. The team of, misfits, shall we say, acquire the ship for themselves, make their escape, and the bad guy ends up chasing them. And so we follow all of that going on along the, throughout the season of Prodigy. And there are 20 episodes, all in all, and each episode is about 20 to 30 minutes long. And I think that's good, having each episode last between 20 minutes and 30 minutes, because that way each episode is pretty precise, has a decent pace going on. The whole thing stays focused on the story it wants to tell. It doesn't get distracted, it doesn't waste time, it just gets on with what it wants to do, which I thought was a good thing going on, to be honest. I liked it. And the animation of the show, it was really good. I liked that. And the character development of each of the characters, um, it was pretty solid in my opinion. Even the bad guy, he had, well, from his point of view, he was perfectly justified in doing what he was wanting to do in destroying the Federation. He had a good reason. And I'm not going to say what that reason was. It's far better explained in the show itself, to be honest with you. And anyone who hasn't already seen Prodigy, I would recommend you go and see the show for yourselves. It's not only worth the effort, but also the show itself does explain certain details far better than I could. So there's that going on. But like I said, the bad guy does seem to have, at least from his point of view, a perfectly good, well explained, and that's the key part, a very well explained reason for doing what he's doing, basically. Um, and as the show goes on, you'll see there's a few references to other past versions of Star Trek, mostly Star Trek Voyager, uh, and that's mostly brought about by the character Catherine Janeway. Now, in the previous version of Star Trek Voyager, Catherine Janeway was captain of the USS Voyager, which ran for 7 seasons. And in Star Trek Prodigy, Catherine Janeway comes back and plays an important role in the storyline. And she's almost like two separate characters. To begin with, she's Vice Admiral at Starfleet Command, and is charged with leading the Starfleet mission to find the ship of the Prodigy. And and at the same time, she's also kind of like a separate character, although the same person, she's also at the same time a separate character, being a hologram and advising the group of misfits on, how to survive and also operate the Starfleet vessel that they themselves happen to be on. And all in all, I thought that was a really good angle, a really good way of bringing back the character Catherine Janeway and how they did it as being all, like I said, the same person but at the same time two different characters. They handled it really well. I've seen other shows and other films where where that same idea is kind of done badly, or at least not done as well as it probably could have been handled. But in Star Trek Prodigy, I thought it was done well. But yeah, in the first maybe 2 or 3 episodes, when the whole premise of the show is being set up and introduced to the audience at large, I thought it was a bit of a cliche, a few cliche ideas coming forward. But to be fair, I was okay with that in the end. I didn't mind it so much because, well, it was done better than I was expecting it to have been done. To be honest, yeah. I mean, to begin with, yeah, it was a bit of a shaky start, but after the first 5 episodes, there's a definite shift in how the other episodes happen, basically. So, definitely by about episode 6 onwards, the entire show does become more interesting and better paced. And a lot of really interesting ideas come forward. Uh, these ideas happen really well. Overall, I think it was really, really good. So, if anyone who hasn't already seen Star Trek Prodigy, if you've got a Netflix account or access to Netflix in any way, then definitely go there, watch it. Um, it's probably going to be, if you've never seen Star Trek before, uh, it might end up being a good introduction to you of Star Trek. A nice little angle to get into. And if, like me, you've already seen a lot of previous Star Trek TV shows, especially uh, stuff like Star Trek Voyager, there's a lot of really good references and Easter eggs going on, which you will end up noticing, and it's like good call. Um, the end though, the end, like the final episode especially, it's a really cliche, a very cliche happy ending. I mean, obviously, we want to see a happy ending in the first place, but for me, it was a bit, my life kind of happy ending. But then again, because of the type of show it is, like I said, it's more of a kids show or teenagers show. I suppose it's unsurprising that the final episode happened the way it did. But no, and also it's probably me having my own preferences from how I would prefer a show to end. But yeah, I would have preferred a bit more of a tone it back, happy ending, basically. But there we are. I think the biggest problem I had with the— and again, spoilers, I'm sorry, we discover that one of the characters is an augment. What is an augment? It's in Star Trek. It's an augment is someone who has been genetically engineered and improved by having various genetic enhancements uh, put into them. And this one character is like by the sounds of it, he's like created in the lab by genetic engineers, and well, it's not explained how he went from being created in a lab to finding himself at a prison colony somewhere in the galaxy somewhere. But at the same time, that detail doesn't matter because I'm sure they'll go further into that if and when they make a second series. So it's a nice bit of mystery going on with his backstory, and that's fine. So a nice little character development going on with him. I enjoyed his character development. He's overall, but the thing is, just like with the rest of his team, he wants to join Starfleet. When they end up getting back to the United Federation of Planets, he wants to join Starfleet because he's come to realise it's a good organisation with opportunity for him going forward. The problem is that in the law, according to the law of the United Federation of Planets, people who have been genetically engineered, people who are augments, it's illegal for them to join Starfleet. Which means, through no fault of his own, he's not allowed in Starfleet. And this is a reference I remember from another version of Star Trek called Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And we find out in Deep Space Nine that one of the characters there, Dr. Bashir, is himself a genetically engineered human, an augment. His parents gave him genetic enhancements when he was a kid. And the only reason Dr. Bashir managed to get into Starfleet was that he kept his true identity a secret. And this whole thing about the law preventing genetically engineered individuals from joining Starfleet, that whole idea does get explored in one episode of DS9, which it's not a detail you'd be familiar with if you've never watched Deep Space Nine, or at least not watched that particular episode of Deep Space Nine. But it's something to bear in mind when dealing with this character, this one particular character in Star Trek Prodigy. Now, again, spoilers, we find out that that Vice Admiral Janeway, under her care, has brought them into Starfleet to be cadets. But the problem is, because of this law I've just talked about, it's not really explained how they've dealt with that potentially big problem for this one kid. They can't have swept it under the rug, and they definitely can't have just simply ignored it, which means the only thing I can think of is that Vice Admiral Janeway has, maybe not broken the rules, but has done something to maybe create, make some kind of exemption, or done something to help this one kid get into Starfleet. And I may have to rewatch that final episode of Prodigy, because it's possible I missed something to that, some kind of explanation. But yeah, it's possible I missed something with that. Otherwise, I expect that if there happens to be a season 2, they do need to explore that and expand on that a bit more. But like I said, maybe I'm being picky here, but at the same time, it does seem to be an important detail that does need to be somehow better explored and better fleshed out. How are we going to sort out that potential problem? But we'll see. Like I say, maybe I need to rewatch the last couple of episodes, because maybe they did mention it and I missed it. I don't know, or maybe it's something else entirely. Either way, that's that. Like I said, I enjoyed Star Trek Prodigy. It was a good show. It was good pace, good storyline, very good storyline, I thought, and the characters were all pretty decent characters. And yeah, like I said, if you've not already watched Star Trek Prodigy and are in any way interested in giving it a go, I would recommend you watch it. Definitely stick it out for a couple of for good 3 or 4 episodes. Things do get a lot more interesting the more episodes you end up watching. That's for sure. But yeah, with that in mind, that's all I can think of saying about Star Trek Prodigy right now. And yeah, if you watching this video have already seen Star Trek Prodigy, and want to share your own opinions, then leave a comment below this video. It'll be good to hear what other people have thought about Prodigy. And yeah, just take it from there really. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I do appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this. Thank you. And I hope everyone is having a really good day today and having a really good weekend. So just take care of yourselves, have fun, have a good day, and I'll see you all soon in the next video. Take care and goodbye.